How's it going, you guys? Bring it on in. We are going to get started on my hyper powerful healthy habits masterclass. My name is Orion, and we're going to dive right in and start talking about building healthy habits. So, first of all, to give you guys an overview, we're going to talk about breaking bad habits to get things going. Then we're going to talk about defining your why and your identity. We're also going to cover SMART goals. Some of you guys might know that acronym, but we're going to dive into that. We're also going to talk about the healthy habits framework, where we'll go over habits and systems. And then we'll conclude with my 30-day challenge, the Healthy Habits Boot Camp. I'll go over what the challenge entails, the dates, and then I have a special offer for those folks that are going to watch this video till the end. So let's dive in and talk about breaking bad habits. So most habits are rooted in escapism, pleasure, and it's a way to self medicate. Now, most people know that their habit is bad, but continue to use despite adverse consequences. Usage causes a release of dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin, thus forming an addiction. Now, some bad habits are really obvious, like drinking, smoking, drug use, both recreational and prescribed drugs, pornography, and gambling. Those are all very obvious bad habits. Um, Less obvious are going to be overeating, so sugar, fast food, junk food, sex, playing video games, shopping, phones, so basically screen time and doom scrolling, work, and caffeine. So those are kind of the less obvious habits. So all in all, when we're looking at uh, these bad habits, we want to view this kind of from a 10,000-foot view as far as understanding what goes into the bad habit formation. Now, one of my favorite little diagrams for bad habits is this little picture right here that I got off the internet. So if you want to visualize this, you're going through your day, you have a cue or a trigger that's going to set you off. Now you can go two ways. You can go through a default loop, which might lead to a bad habit, or you could go through a deliberate loop, which might lead to a good habit. Both are going to kind of give you a reward. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're at work, your boss comes up to you, he just lays into you for whatever reason, and your default reaction to that is to go into the break room and grab a donut or just some junk food and essentially get that dopamine hit from that. Now, what you could do instead is if your boss yells at you, instead of going into the break room and grabbing sugary food, you could grab an apple. That's just a real simple way of looking at the deliberate versus default loop. Another example would be, let's say you had just a crummy day at work, and instead of going to the bar and self medicating with booze, you choose instead to go to the gym and work out. So that would be a deliberate loop versus a default loop right there. So just kind of putting the bad habit into perspective there. Now, as far as action steps, there's 4 action steps that I find are very good to help break a bad habit. The first action step is going to be selective about the habit you want to change. So choose 1 or 2 habits to focus on at a time rather than trying to change everything all at once. So if you're addicted to booze, pornography, gambling, you're addicted to caffeine, you're addicted to nicotine, that's going to be a lot to quit all at once. Maybe just pick 1 or 2 to tackle at first and then branch from there. So being selective can help you stay focused and make the progress more efficiently and make progress more efficiently. Next, use willpower. So willpower is a finite source and should be used strategically. This involves setting up your environment and routines to support your new habits, so you don't have to rely solely on willpower to make the change. Now, one thing I like to kind of uh, touch on with this action step here is it's easier to have willpower when walking through the grocery store and avoiding the ice cream or the chips or the sugary treats for that 10-second window, as opposed to buying um, the junk food and having it in your pantry or your fridge and then being tempted every time you walk by that junk food. So this is just a little hack, a little trick to use your willpower for a shorter window, as opposed to having to use your willpower all the time when walking by your fridge or your pantry. So next is cultivate awareness. So this involves becoming more mindful of your habits and the triggers that lead to them. So like I said earlier in that example, if you're having a bad day, knowing that it's a bad day and opposed to going to the bar, you go to the gym. So you can kind of start to look at what triggers your bad habits. By understanding your habits and the underlying factors that contribute to them, you can make more informed decisions about how to change them. And then lastly, the fourth one is be persistent. Changing habits takes time and effort, and setbacks are a normal part of the process. By staying persistent and committed to the process, even when progress feels slow, you can build the momentum you need to make a lasting change. So you can't give up right away. You've got to really focus on getting consistent, building up days, weeks, maybe even months without doing the bad habit. So consistency is always going to be king, and this is going to help get you through breaking that bad habit. Now, I've got a little simple strategy that I like to implement, and this works both ways for building a good habit and breaking a bad habit. So it's 30 days to break the habit. So the first thing you want to do is just get out a calendar, maybe even print something out on the computer. Just get out something that you can have 30 days staring at you. And then every time you complete the day, you just mark out an X that you didn't do the bad habit. Okay. So basically, exit out every consecutive day that you abstain from the habit. If you fail and partake in your habit, restart the 30 days. And then this is kind of this will be dependent on what the bad habit is you're trying to break here. But if you have the urge to partake in your habit, do 20 push-ups. So this works well for more compulsive habits like pornography, smoking, video games, eating health or avoiding bad things is gonna like sugar. This could be done in that stead, but something like um, let's say shopping, if you're out and about, it might be hard to drop and do 20 push-ups. So there's it just depends, but this can work actually very well. Trust me, if you do a couple sets of 20 push-ups, that'll really help you break that bad habit easier. All right, so next we're going to go and transition into building good habits. So number one, the why. This is an important part of understanding why you are wanting to build a good habit and the identity that you're looking to cultivate. Basically, the purpose of this whole why is what we're going to tackle right now. So you need to define what your personal why is. This is your personal motivation for achieving your objective and sculpting your identity. Lean into your why when times are tough and you don't want to put in the work. An example of a why could be leading your family from the front, building generational health, longer lifespan and health span. Your clothes will fit better, looking amazing, having more confidence, being physically capable of any task. So those would be your reason for wanting to adopt good, healthy habits um, to have your to lead from the front. All these things that contribute to your why. All right. Now your identity is closely tied into this. Now shifting your identity is going to be an important part of this. So this is, who do you want to become? When it comes to health and fitness, there are only two identities. You're either healthy or you are unhealthy, or you're transitioning between the two. Now, a little side note on this: COVID amplified everybody's baseline state. So if you were healthy going into the lockdowns back in 2020, that was amplified and you continued your good, healthy routines. If your baseline state was unhealthy and you were just fighting and clawing to try and go to the gym, try and eat and healthy, your baseline state got kicked in of being unhealthy. So as a fitness professional, I never saw this a mass amount of people that went from healthy to an unhealthy identity. And some people that I personally know are still stuck in this unhealthy identity and they're still trying to claw their way out of it. So, what um, you do when it comes to your identity really needs to be defined. What do you want? Who do you want to become? And why do you want to become that? Now, let's talk about the SMART goals. Now, the acronym SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, comes into play here. And a lot of people have heard this one before, but I'll go over it. So, a SMART goal example would be: New Year's resolution is to lose weight. So that's a pretty good base right there. Let's expand upon that. So specific, lose 30 pounds in the first 3 months of the new year. So that is definitely a specific time frame right there, and it is a given weight as well. So is this measurable? Yes. You can hop on the scale, you can take measurements, you can take progress pictures, so you can really measure this these results in the 3 months. Is it achievable? Yes. Given a caloric deficit of 1,000 calories per day, you can definitely lose 30 pounds in 3 months. Is it realistic? Yes. At 2 pounds per week, this goal would take 3 to 4 months to achieve. And is it timely? Yes. The goal is set for 3 to 4 months. So, a vague goal would be, hey, I just want to lose weight. When we drill down and look at the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely aspect of this, we need to have that in mind when we're developing our habits, our systems, and really identifying our why and our identity. So, that this feeds into the first two that I just talked about, and it's something that's very important when you're coming up with healthy habits. Next, we're going to talk about habits. Now, when it comes to habits, we want to have and establish 10 healthy habits to kind of lean into on a daily basis. Now, a habit needs to be clear, it needs to be quantifiable, it needs to be measurable. All right. So a vague habit would be, I'm going to exercise. A specific habit would be, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times per week. So this really gives you more direction, and it basically makes it a clear and quantifiable thing. And we also want to make sure the habit is realistic and repeatable. So, is the habit achievable on a daily basis? If you can't do the habit on a daily basis, it might be too aggressive to have as one of your 10 healthy habits. Can you do it 3 to 7 times per week? Now, if your habit is exercise more and it's 3 times per week, perfect. If your habit is get 10,000 steps in per day, can you do that 7 times a week? Definitely. So, realistic and repeatable example is 10,000 steps per day. Not repeatable and not realistic is run 10 miles a day. Unless you're just a high volume endurance athlete, this is just not going to be practical. So, you have to choose habits that are going to be something you can do, something repeatable, something that's realistic, and it also needs to be clear and quantifiable. Next, let's talk about systems. Now, we want to establish three or more systems to support each habit. And this is going to be important because this is going to what's really is what's going to define how well you execute on these habits. And now sometimes you really need to deep dive on your systems, meaning some systems are really apparent, like drinking 2 liters of water, very apparent. That's pretty straightforward. But some take more thought and doing the actual habit and the systems that support that habit to really write it down and to quantify it. So, to give you guys an example, and this is my personal one right here, my daily habit is to eat healthy. That's going to be a mixture of keto and the carnivore diet. Now, I have my systems in place, and these are my personal ones that I try and execute on every single day. So, number one is going to be follow a low carb protocol. So, I want to shoot for personally less than 50 grams of carbohydrates per day. I also want to eat 200 grams of protein per day. I want to avoid dietary irritants such as gluten, seed oils, sugar, nuts, oxalates, phytic acid, sulfonates, soy, and UPFs, which stands for ultra processed foods. I want to buy organic. So I'm going to focus on good quality um, organic sources. So meat, eggs, and dairy, making sure those are organic. Fruit, starches, non-inflammatory veggies, and raw milk. So those are going to be the things that I'm going to put into my healthy habit every single day. And then also, it's kind of just more of a side note, but I want to try and support local farming practices. So when I get my meat, when I get my eggs, when I get my dairy, I'm going to really try and focus on making sure it's the highest quality I can get while supporting local farming. Luckily, I live in a cow town, so that's kind of easy to do, but it's achievable no matter where you live. And then don't eat out. That's kind of one of my big things right there. I try and cook 99% of my meals. Maybe once a month to once every other month, I'll eat out and let somebody else do the cooking for me. Now, just a side note on that little tangent, little rant. When you let a company or a corporation do the cooking for you, you're going to wind up with a lot of things that just are going to be added to said meal that are going to make it more tasty, more palatable, and basically get you as a return customer. So when we're eating out, we want to minimize it as much as possible, and we want to keep those things in mind as far as this food is going to be super loaded and packed with just probably junk that's not good for me. So we really want to focus on limiting our 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 meals out and cook 99% of our meals. All right. Next, let's talk about gratitude. I like to kind of see gratitude as the mortar that kind of binds everything together. So when you're coming up with your healthy habits and you're putting the whole framework together, we want to establish one, things that we're grateful for from a material and a non material standpoint. So, an example would be my faith, my health, the health of my family, living a purposeful life. Those would be some non material things that I'm grateful for. And then material, food, job, house, vehicles, investments. Those would be non-material things that I'm grateful for. Additionally, we want to reframe the have tos into get tos. So an example of this would be washing dishes. Well, you don't have to wash dishes, you get to wash dishes. And a good way to kind of reframe this and think about it differently is there's so many things that go into just washing a dish that's both upstream and downstream. So, upstream, we have a car that we can drive to the grocery store. We have a place that exists that food is dropped off at and you can go in and buy. Additionally, on top of that, we have farmers throughout the country that are producing food and producing meat and producing vegetables. So there's a lot that goes upstream just from washing a dish, having a full fridge. There's another example. And then downstream, you have a family that you can cook for. You have indoor running water that's hot that you can wash the dishes with. You can afford the actual dish that you're eating off of. So there's a lot that goes into. And yes, what is sometimes a nag is washing dishes and a pain in the butt, but it's something that you should try and view differently in your life, the things that you have to do and put them as things you get to do. So this is just what I like to see as the mortar for building healthy habits. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a little homework assignment, and this is kind of how you would want to get started on your healthy habits protocol. So get a pencil, get some paper, and then write out your personal framework. So, number one on that list is going to be what is your why? All right, so you want to have a definite, a defined and definite what are you doing this for when it comes to being healthy, being fit, having a longer health span, having a longer lifespan. Why do you want to do that? All right. Next, who do you want to become? So, do you want to become a healthy person? Do you want to become somebody who is eating good quality food all the time and someone who's fit, someone who is capable? What is this identity you want to cultivate that really supports being a healthy person? And then next on the list is what is your SMART goal? So, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. What is the goal that supports this identity and this why? Next, you're going to come up with 10 healthy habits. So, I want you to think of 10 things that you can do on a daily basis that are going to help you move the needle. So, I kind of alluded to a couple of those: eating healthy, exercising, walking 10,000 steps a day. So, those would all be part of your 10 healthy habits. And then with each of those healthy habits, you want to have three or more systems that you can implement on a daily basis that are going to support that healthy habit. So sit down, think about the individual steps that it would take to get in 10,000 steps per day. Think of the individual steps that would take to get to the gym 3 days per week. Next, I want you to write down things that you are grateful for. So the non material things and the material things you're grateful for. Then I also want you to come up with a list of your have tos versus your get tos. So, what are the things that are just a pain in the butt, chores, whatever it might be, that you have viewed as, well, I have to do this, No, I want you to view it as you get to do this. So, washing dishes, shoveling snow, raking leaves, mowing the lawn, those would all be things that are chores that might be a pain in the butt to you. I want you to reframe that as those are things you get to do. All right. And then lastly, everything needs to be clear and quantifiable. It needs to be realistic and it needs to be repeatable. So this is important because we want to make sure that we're structuring our habits, our systems, make sure our SMART goal is in line with something that is actually achievable. I had the SMART goal, for example, of lose 50 pounds in 2 months. That just wouldn't be realistic from a thermodynamic standpoint. So when you guys are writing things down, I want you to make sure that you are following stuff that's realistic and achievable. All right. So now shifting gears just a little bit, if you are having trouble putting this together, and if you're having trouble sticking with healthy habits and building these things and implementing them into your daily routine, I have an upcoming 30-day challenge. It's going to be my Healthy Habits Boot Camp, and this will run from October 24th to November 22nd of this year, 2023. And let me go over some details of this so you guys have a better idea. So, this is going to be a 30-day challenge. What you can expect is I'm going to help you implement my 10 hyper powerful healthy habits that I use for myself and that I use for my clients. So, this is going to help you remove the guesswork and learn the specific habits and systems to build a healthy lifestyle. You're going to have coaching, mentorship, and accountability from me. And also, what will be included with that will be a weekly group coaching call, access to my app OT Fitness, where you'll track your habits and upload your accountability, your daily accountability check-ins. And if you stick with this, I promise you, you will be set up for life-changing results. So as I said earlier in this video, that it takes 30 days to break a habit. Well, it also takes 30 days to build a good habit. All right. And now the dates on this, we're going to start Tuesday, October 24th. I'll have plenty of information going out there if you are interested. And then this is going to end Wednesday, November 22nd, which is going to be perfect because this is the day right before Thanksgiving. And now there's 2 times a year that I find people really struggle with. One is the 3 to 4 months in the summer. People just completely get off track when it comes to their habits and their routines. And then the time span between um, Halloween and New Year's. So we have these kind of two areas of the year where it is very hard for people to stay motivated. Now, January, February comes around, it's super easy for people to stay motivated. It's New Year's resolution time, it's winter. It's harder to go out and have fun. There's less barbecues and parties, but the summer is tough to stick to your habits. And the time between Thanksgiving and New Year's, or you could say Halloween and New Year's, those are going to be the toughest times. So the goal is to build up good, healthy habits going into the holiday season so you can make it through and not have to lose the 5 to 10 pounds that most people gain in that time frame. So getting into a couple more specifics here. Now, normally, the 30-day challenge, the investment for this is going to be $97. Now, normally I charge $3,000 for access to my community, my fitness and nutrition systems and expertise, plus coaching and mentorship from me. This 30-day boot camp is going to be $97. So a very deep discount for 30 days to get yourself dialed in going into the holiday season. And then if you watched this video to the end, I'm going to be offering a special for anyone who made it this far and who wants to do the Healthy Habits Bootcamp. When you go to the checkout in the link in the description here, and you put in the code Habit20 at the checkout, you'll receive $20 off. So they'll bring the total investment up to $77. So thanks for watching this video, you guys. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can reach out and email me at Orion at otfitness.coach, and I'd be more than happy to instruct you on what to do next. Keep an eye out for some more information with my Healthy Habits boot camp. I will have a link in this video to register if you are ready to go, and that will be starting on October 24th. Thanks for watching, you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.